Picture this: a killer who leaves behind absolutely no fingerprints, no witnesses, and worst of all, no clear motive. Just a chilling, invisible trail of victims scattered across multiple states. For a very long time, these types of motiveless stranger-on-stranger crimes completely paralyzed communities. I mean, they represented the ultimate nightmare, right? A looming threat with no face and seemingly no logical reason for what they were doing. For decades, local police departments were completely baffled by one massive question: how do you catch a ghost? Traditional detective work heavily relies on clear motives. We're talking money, jealousy, or revenge. But when a criminal operates totally outside those logical boundaries, well, you basically have to throw the old rulebook out the window. Okay, let's dive into this, because that was the harsh reality until the FBI stepped in and developed a revolutionary method that fundamentally changed criminal investigations forever. Welcome to this explainer. Today we're going to uncover the hidden science behind how America's elite investigators identify killers, predict their next moves, and ultimately bring some of the world's most dangerous criminals to justice. We're looking at the blueprint of evil and the rigorous science of FBI profiling that was quite literally born down in the basement of Quantico. Here's the procedural arc we're going to follow today, almost like an escalating criminal investigation. First, defining the threat. Then, the birth of profiling, building the puzzle, geographic and forensic science, and finally, the reality of cold cases. All right, let's start with step one, defining the threat, or what exactly is a serial killer? The very first crucial step of any major investigation is clinically defining exactly what kind of threat we are dealing with, stripping away all the Hollywood sensationalism. A serial killer is generally defined as someone who murders multiple victims in separate events over a period of time. So the crucial point is, they often do this with a deeply psychological motive, like a need for control or power that goes way beyond immediate gain. This isn't a bank robbery gone wrong. This isn't some organized crime dispute. This is something entirely different. When you compare serial offenses with other crimes, a massive distinction pops out. Unlike crimes of passion, which are usually isolated events for immediate gain, serial offenses reveal recurring patterns. We're talking about very specific habits in how they select victims, how they behave, their methods, and their timing. Recognizing these recurring patterns early on is absolutely vital. It's the key to preventing more victims and steering law enforcement toward one single common suspect. Which brings us to our second phase, the birth of profiling, and moving beyond physical evidence. But how did we actually learn to spot these patterns? To answer that, we have to jump back to the 1970s to see how the FBI fundamentally changed their entire approach to crime scenes. During this era, the FBI's behavioral science unit began systematically studying violent offenders. They were sitting down and interviewing some of the most notorious figures in history. This was a monumental shift. Instead of just looking at the physical evidence left behind, like a footprint or a dropped weapon, investigators realized they needed to analyze the offender's behavior. This era officially marked the birth of criminal profiling. They were stepping directly into the psychological mind of the killer. To build those early profiles, behavioral analysts started firing off a series of really deep analytical questions. The very first one, out of everyone out there, why was this specific victim chosen? Second question, why this location? What does the spatial geography of this crime scene tell us about where the offender actually feels comfortable? And finally, why this specific method, and why this exact time? Asking these behavioral questions wasn't just guesswork. It allowed the FBI to create remarkably accurate offender profiles. It systematically narrowed down investigative leads and vastly improved the way different, sometimes competing law enforcement agencies coordinated with each other.
Now for part 3, building the puzzle and connecting the fragments.
Despite what you might see on television, a real serial killer investigation rarely hinges on one sudden dramatic breakthrough. It's actually like patiently assembling a giant, incredibly complex puzzle. You have all these disparate fragments: DNA samples, fingerprints, surveillance footage, cell phone records, vehicle sightings, digital activity, the whole shebang. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that any single piece of this, say one random cell phone ping, might mean absolutely nothing on its own. But when you combine these tiny fragments patiently over time, they form a consistent, undeniable pattern that points squarely toward a suspect. Moving into part 4, geographic and forensic science, where we map the mind and find the proof. As we move the procedural arc forward into modern investigations, locking a suspect down relies heavily on science and geography. Crime locations tell a shockingly detailed story.
Today, modern analysts literally map out the mind of a predator. They look for comfort zones, areas the offender knows intimately and feels safe operating within. On the flip side, they map avoidance zones, places the offender actively steers clear of because they might be easily recognized. And this brilliantly illustrates how analysts can map out these incidents to identify clusters, prioritize search areas, and allocate their resources super effectively.
Layer modern technology on top of that, and it's a total game changer. Advanced DNA analysis can now link cases separated by decades. Digital forensics can completely reconstruct a suspect's timeline using their devices. Plus, you have this vast network of security cameras and license plate readers tracking physical movements step by step. Each of these massive technological leaps drastically increases the chances of identifying an offender who, in the past, might have totally slipped through the cracks. Finally, let's talk about Part 5, the reality of cold cases. Unsolved, but certainly not forgotten. We do have to confront a pretty harsh reality here. Not every single investigation reaches a clean, satisfying conclusion right away. There are very real hurdles that stall cases and cause leads to dry up completely. Sometimes physical evidence is just too limited. Over time, crucial witnesses pass away. And in older cases, police records themselves might be incomplete. It's an incredibly frustrating reality. But despite those hurdles, investigators never just close the book. Let's move to and see how this builds into the persistent protocol of modern cold case units. Step 1, persistently revisit older investigations. Step 2, apply those brand new forensic methods and digital technologies we just talked about to the old evidence. And step 3, we are actually seeing quote-unquote impossible cases getting cleanly resolved sometimes 30 or 40 years later. And this persistent work has a huge, broader impact. Every single solved case teaches analysts something new. It improves methods, strengthens forensic science, and ultimately helps protect future victims. Behind every single major breakthrough, you have an entire army of analysts, forensic experts, and detectives who have been patiently connecting evidence in the background for years. I really want you to think about this thought for a second. Real investigations are rarely solved by luck. They are solved through persistence, science, teamwork, and careful analysis. So the next time you're chilling on your couch glued to a true crime documentary, keep this in mind. It's so easy to get caught up in the drama of a sudden confession, but the real foundation of justice is built on this rigorous, exhausting, and highly scientific process. Which leaves us with this provocative question to ponder. With the incredibly rapid advancement of digital forensics and behavioral profiling, will the unsolvable cold case soon become a thing of the past? It's a totally fascinating prospect for the future of criminal investigation. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. If you want to keep exploring the amazing intersections of crime, psychology, and science, make sure to subscribe to Fact for Knowledge for more. Catch you next time.